Good morning and welcome back to I Know Enough to Be Dangerous Farm. Today we're going to do a little bit of scarification of our seeds. It's that time of year again, and basically it's a fancy word saying just soaking your seeds. Most of these seeds are going to be a 24-hour soak, and then different ones need a cold stratify is what it's called, stratification. And we do it a little bit different. I don't put my, after they soak, they're supposed to go in a soil mixture. I don't do that, and the reason I don't do that is all our seeds will be sown in our plug trays with a needle seeder. So the needle seeder, the bad thing about needle seeder is it plugs up with debris, and so that's why you want to get some clean seed, and you do not want to have it soaked stratification in a cooler with sand or any other medium, because it'll just plug up your little needles. And I'll do another video showing needle seeding into our plug trays and on that whole process. But today what we're doing is a process called scarification, and what it is just basically trying to break up the seed coat on your seeds. Some of the seeds we have some Canaan or Canaan, depending on how you say it, and we have some Norman fir, so we have a couple different fir varieties. They're tougher to grow. The percentage purity is 100%, but the germination on a fir is right around 50%. So you'll notice that instead of doing some really painful math, I just do 2 seeds in each cell, and then I'll thin them out that way. But we're also doing some spruce, some Colorado, or a new strain of Colorado that's supposed to be a little bit more resistant to the needle scale and all the Colorado blue spruce downfalls diseases. And we're going to do some balsam fir and some Norway fir, or Norway spruce. So the spruce are a little bit easier. There's no scarification, and we're doing some black locust too. I forgot about that. We're doing black locust, even though we're a Christmas tree farm. There are some sections of land on our property that will not grow Christmas trees. It will grow, it will sustain black locust trees. And I know people are saying, yeah, black locust, but we don't let them get that big. We let them get about 6 inches diameter, and then we just use them for post. Very quick turnaround. We can't do anything else with the land anyway, so we might as well grow something. So that's what we're going to do with the black locust. And most of these seeds were from a seed source in New York, and they source it from all over the country and the world. But if you're going to do this, make sure you're buying quality seed. You don't want to waste your time, and make sure you're getting what you're supposed to be getting. And my new friends at Quarter Pine Tree Farm, they turned me on to these seeds. These were actually donated by Quarter Pine, so thank you there. And I got schooled on different varieties of Canaan fir that I should be buying or shouldn't be buying. So thank you, Jim. I appreciate it, and we're gonna watch this through the year. So high-tech process is we take just normal water, and it doesn't matter if it's tap water or whatever, or warm water. I've shared hot water, but it's going to be soaking overnight. So if it's warm water, it's not going to be warm long. So that's what we're going to do. This big one with this colander, I'm going to use on these bigger seeds. These are quite big. So what I do is I'll put those in there with the water, and then when I pull them out, I don't have to pour and try to lose seed. It's just right here, and then I'll put them on a paper towel, and then I'll store them in a cooler. These have to go back in the cooler for 30 days. Oh, actually these are 60 days, so these won't be planted for a while. The other ones I'm going to split up. They're either ounces or grams or whatever, and I want to split up. I'm going to do a little mad experiment here at a trade show. A gentleman supplied me with a couple of jugs of this. It's basically a biostimulant, and I'm going to soak some of the seeds with I'm going to soak some of the seeds in this, maybe 1 to 5 or 1 to 7 parts water with this. Make a record of what seeds are in that, and then that'll carry on to the tray so I can see if there is really an effect. I'm also going to be spraying the trees in the field. I'll mark each row with this stuff, and when we do the bare root, I'm also going to root dip in a solution of the biostimulant too. So that's what we're doing today. And so I won't bore you with pouring water and soaking seeds, but that's what we're going to do. Just get it till they all start floating or have room to float. Then I keep the bag with the corresponding seed so I didn't get those mixed up. And then the smaller ones, I'll do that. And how I scoop those out is I use one of these cheap strainers from a dollar store. It was like $2, and I can do this either that, or I can just pour it. I can just pour it into this and strain out the water. This bigger colander is great with the seeds. The bigger seeds, you can see these are pretty big. So here we are with all the different varieties. I leave the bag in front of the bowl so I know there's 1,000 seeds. Norman fir. This is the first time we're trying Norman fir on the farm. These are the Canaan from Quarter Pine Tree Farm, and some other seeds. And as you can see, they're all, I do the math to get how many seeds approximately in each bag. And this has a double bowl, so I'm going to do with biostimulant and without, just for a test. And you can see all the varieties in a bowl, another test, one with and without. And what we'll do is there's about 23,000 seeds here, believe it or not, and 23, I don't know, on some change, 24 if you count the 24,000 seeds if you count the black locust, which I'm not counting, and I'll soak these too, but doesn't need much to get these guys going. And you can see here is my tumbler. I used to do ammo, and I sold everything else, but I don't like selling stuff. So what I do now is on a smaller scale, I can get my Norway seeds from here. I'll let these cones dry out, and then look at all the seeds I get. So we're gonna plant some of those. We have some of those in our greenhouse now, but this is how we do scarification with the water soak, nothing tricky. And then we're gonna do the stratification, cold strat. Most of these for 30 days, except for the Norman fir, they're 60 days, so they'll be planted in a couple months. And the spruce down here, these will be planted right away, probably at the end of the week. So thanks for stopping by, and I'll give you an update when we put them in the cooler, and I'll show you how we do that. That'll be real quick. And then we just keep the label. It's key to keep labels. And if you want to keep some records somewhere, I'm old school, so I'll put a little bit on my phone and a little bit on a pad, so I don't lose anything. But mark down rows, what you did different, and we'll do some other stuff in the fields of fertilization and biostimulants and stuff like that this year. And this is 24 hours after our soak. So here's the seeds. So these are the Norman fir. These are really big, a quarter inch, quarter to almost a half an inch, some of the seeds. So here's the rest of the seeds. I know I'll get a question on floating seeds versus sinking seeds. I don't know what to tell you. See this one, most of them are on the bottom. Almost all the locust are on the bottom. The evergreens, this one's like half and half. This one, most of them are sank. I plant all of them. And just a word to the wise, if you're going to use the cheap literal paper bowls, 24 hours is probably max. This thing's about ready to start busting open. These are actually from the dollar store. They're party bowls for chips and stuff. Great way to, and this thing was $1, so I got $1, like under $3 for this whole little setup here. It's a great way to keep the cost down. And then this is a great tool for a lot of stuff. I will put 2 of these together, sandwich them together, and dry pumpkin seeds, and it keeps the critters out and it keeps air going through the mesh, and it'll fold up nice, like a nice little, almost like a minnow trap. But let's do the next process in here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put all the seeds on a paper plate with a paper towel, and then what we'll do is we'll roll up the paper towel and then put them in plastic bags. So this bowl is the conifer from my newfound friends at Quarter Pine Tree Farm in Pennsylvania. So I kind of did the math. It should be about 7,000 seeds. You know, as far as floating and sinking, I don't know, it's like 50%. So that kind of correlates with the germination, I guess. But we'll see. I'm not going to separate the sinkers from the floaters. And then we want to let that drain a little bit. So the next process is stratification. It's called a cold strat. Depends on who you're talking to. And we'll put these back in the cooler, aka the kitchen refrigerator, not the freezer, the refrigerator, usually in the door, and most of the water is out of here. Normally what you would do is put this in a Ziploc bag, a gallon bag or bigger, depending on how many seeds, with some peat moss and sand mix and not a lot of water, just what's in here, and put it in the soil so it's damp, and then roll it up and put it in the refrigerator or cooler, however you're cooling it. This particular seed would be in there for a month. The spruce, they don't need any. I'm going to put them in there for a couple days just because I can't get to them today. And our process, we do not use any medium. We'll just do this, get it all out of there. And the biostimulant that's left, I'll put that in the greenhouse and just pour that over the seedlings that are growing from last year's crop, not to waste any of that stuff. So I'll just spread it out a little bit, and then put another paper towel on top. And I'll let this dry a little bit. And if we were seeding tomorrow, we would just spread these out evenly, all nice and even, nice thin layer, and then have them dry out almost completely. So we can actually get them through our needle seeder. And in previous videos, the downfall of the needle seeder is it can't have any debris, or it'll jam up the little needles. But we'll make a video and I'll show you what I'm talking about. The next batch is some blue balsam, native from New Hampshire. Too much water in a dollar store paper bowl. There we go, we made it. Just get out any remaining moisture. Oh, not what you want to do. Let it dry out a little bit more, and then keep the tag with it. So this is what you got, and I'll let this dry out a little bit, and then we'll roll them up and put them in Ziplocs and put them in the cooler. So what you want to do after it's dried out, I don't know, 10-15 minutes, it's just damp. Put the corresponding seed packet or whatever you're using for a label and fold it up like a little envelope, like a little Valentine. Put this together and keep it like this. If it starts to rip, put another piece of paper towel in there. Reason for that is once you take them out of the bag, you really want that paper towel intact. So maybe buy a decent roll of paper towels, because if you don't, if it rips, they get real sticky inside the bag. So a little pro tip there, try to get as much air out as possible. But this is what you have, and just put the date on it and you're good to go. And that's what you do. A little reminder. But if you're excited like I am about seed, you don't need a reminder about when to take them out of the cooler. So we'll do a little added experiment with this one. This is actually some specific blue spruce that are supposed to be a little bit more disease resistant. And there's 6,600 seeds here. And it seems to be like 90% of the seeds have sunk and the remainder are on top. So what I think I want to do is I'm going to separate the seeds that are floating and plant those, and then separate the ones from the floating from the sinkers and see what I get for germination rate on the ones that are floating, and that'll kind of answer everybody's question. I think I'm going to have to get a little spoon. So I'm back. Seems to this time of year, I don't know if it's true or not, a lot of stuff comes missing out of the kitchen. And that's why I purchased this stuff, and I keep this all separate, and then I'll mark this spoon or bend it or something to keep it separate. I don't want, using it with biostimulant and then it winds its way back up into the utensil drawer. So what I'll do is I'll just skim this off, because it would be nice to know. Then I'm not wasting time, resources, growing medium, trays. If the floaters are the only ones that are viable seed, let's just plant, well, if the ones that sink are only the viable seed, let's just plant those, but man, I hate to buy 6,000 seeds. Some of the other ones are like half and half. And so I didn't want to pull the trigger on that, but these Colorados are mostly on the bottom of this bowl. So stay tuned on this one. This episode of Scarification, we just did 24,000 seeds, believe it or not. And here they are. So now I'll just roll them into Ziploc bags with the corresponding tag, and I'll know what they'll do, or what they are. So when we run through the needle seeder, this is what's left over, the biostimulant, a couple seeds, and we'll pour this around the plants around the house, and we'll put these in the cooler. So thanks for stopping by. Catch you next time. Take care.